TV. We're here doing a preview and review show. We've got James with us, who's been a lifelong Stoke fan for about 30 years or so now. And we've also got Mark, writer for Sky Sports and Football365, also an editor for Team Talk. So, lads, what went wrong last game, Arsenal? I'll start with you, James.
Go first, Mark.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think an easier question would be what went right. It'd certainly be a shorter answer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I honestly don't know. As bad as Arsenal play at the Britannia, we play twice as bad at the Emirates. For whatever reason, we just seem to freeze there, and we certainly did that this time. I mean, I don't think Hughes got his tactics right, and that was shown by the fact that he changed formation and moved people around 3 or 4 times in the first half. So he obviously has to take some of the blame. But ultimately, you know, you look at the players and bar 1 or 2, the obvious one being Jack Butland, they just didn't perform well enough. Whether that was down to the international break and lacking a bit of rhythm, I don't know. But there's not really any of the outfield players that you can say had good games, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, definitely. James, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same really. It's same old Emirates performance, wasn't it? Really completely overrun. I thought from start to finish. If it wasn't for Butland, I think it would have been 4-5-0 after half an hour. It's always a tough game down there, isn't it? Really for Stoke, big cities. They're good. They're a very good side as well. A lot of things would have to fall our way, I think, for us to get a result down there. But as it was, disappointing performance, wasn't it? Really,
it was
overrun. 4-4-2. I thought we were crying out for an extra man in midfield there. That second half wasn't too bad. 10 minutes to go. It's only 1-0. A set piece or something, and you could possibly get a draw. But truth be told, we were second best from start to finish, weren't we?
Definitely. But moving on from that now, so we're going into the Leicester game. Again, we thought if you just put the teams on paper at the start of the season, you think this is a game where we can go in. Obviously, a win would look pretty simple, but they're in the form of their life at the moment. They're second or third in the table. They're absolutely flying. So, what are you thinking going into this game at the weekend, Mark?
Well, you're right. It's going to be extremely difficult. On paper, you would have looked at this game and thought that it was one we were definitely targeting for 3 points. But they are in fantastic form. We're really not. So you'd have to say that it's going to be a really, really tough game. And players like Mahrez and Schlupp and Vardy, they've got so much pace. And Stoke's one of Stoke's problems this season has obviously been the way that they were defending, and they really do worry me going forward. And the other issue is that, as we've seen plenty of times in the past, against Leicester last season, for example, we do struggle to break down teams that sit with men behind the ball and like to break on us, which is exactly what Leicester will do. So, although we've certainly got the ability to beat them, it's not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely, and I mean, Eric's definitely going to have his work cut out at left back, having to deal with Mahrez.
Yeah, he's been the best player in the Premier League this season, without a doubt. Absolutely turned the game against Aston Villa last weekend, and like you say, Eric Peters is going to have to be on him. But also, what we need is, as I'm sure everyone can agree, better protection from the midfield. Glenn Whelan has got a big job in there as the anchor man, but we need other players to chip in, notably the wide players like Arnautovic and Shaqiri need to buy into what we're doing on the defensive side of the game and actually help out the defence a little bit more.
Definitely. So James, going into this game, Bojan said how he thinks he's ready for a start now. I mean, would you like to see Hughes throw him in?
I don't think he will. I don't think he will just yet. I still think he'll be on the bench. I think he'll probably go for. I think he'll perhaps play Walters in behind Diouf on Saturday. I mean, I've written a few notes down about the game, and I've had exactly the same thing as Mark, Vardy, Mahrez, Schlupp, Dyer, Peters underlined. They're dangerous, aren't they? I fear for our fullbacks on Saturday. It could be a case of our wingers against their wingers. Shaqiri and Arnautovic against whichever two they put on. But I think, to answer your question about Bojan, maybe a couple of games for a start. I can see him going for Walters, Kiri on one side and Onatovic on the other.
Yeah, definitely. So another big talking point, I suppose, going into this game is how we're going to set up in central midfield. I mean, Mark, do you think that MVG is cutting it at the moment?
I actually thought he was one of our better players against Arsenal. It's not saying a lot, but I thought he was one of the better performers. Clearly, he's struggling to fill in Zonzi's boots, which we probably should have expected because he's not had any Premier League experience, and Nzonzi was a best player. But just because he hasn't, immediately set the world alight, it doesn't mean that we've got to worry about changing him. We've got to give him time because ultimately he is a very, very talented player. He's got great pedigree, and I personally think that he will come good in that role. But we just need to be a little bit patient with him. The trouble is that we've had to throw him in at the deep end, and at the same time we've had the likes of Afellay, Shaqiri, Johnson. So we've got a lot of new players in positions that it's making it difficult for Van Ginkel because he doesn't necessarily know that role that he's being asked to play. But I would persist with him undoubtedly because I think he's a good player, but we just need to be a little bit patient with him.
Yeah, and what do you think on that, James? Do you think he still should keep that place for Saturday?
Well, I mean, it's not games, isn't it? So it's still very, very early to judge. I've not seen anything from him so far. I mean, I've had a look at the stats, and apparently there's no one who ran for more than him on the whole field on Saturday. Covered more ground and more distance than anybody.
Yeah.
But I've not seen anything from him just yet. My concern is with him is that, like Mark says, he's got some great pedigree. He's clearly got some talent there. But by the time that starts to show through, we're going to be sending him back to Chelsea at the end of the season, and we're right back to square one looking for an Nzonzi replacement. So it's always seemed to be a strange signing for me, that one. We're getting somebody in for potential for the benefit of somebody else, and I don't really see the point, quite honestly. But he's a decent, I'm sure there's a decent player in there somewhere, but I've not seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you myself on that one, James. I mean, he's shown some signs of what he can do, but I don't think at the minute he's quite understanding the role he's got to do. It isn't the role he usually plays. He's box to box, and we're asking him to sit and be more defensive than he's used to. I'm not sure himself about my tackling, but
if I can jump in there, Elliot, my counter argument to that would be, who do we play in his position? Jeff Cameron, Mark Muniesa? Whoever we put in there, we're asking to play a position that they don't necessarily know or they haven't played that much for Stoke. So
no, you are right, Mark.
So whoever we play there. These questions.
They've had all summer to sort it out, though, haven't they?
Yeah.
They had all summer to sort it out, and then tried to get Jedinak in on the last day of the deadline. So if we'd have signed Jedinak, who would he have come in for? It would have been.
I mean, I myself would have liked to have seen Jedinak come in. It showed. I think our pursuit for him shows that we're after one of those sorts of players, but we've missed out. So he's going to have to fill that role, whether Cameron steps in or Muniesa himself, or whoever else. So I'm going to round it off there, guys. You can get your score prediction for the weekend.
2-2.
2-2. Mark?
I'll go with a more confident 2-1, but it won't be easy.
It won't be easy at all.
No.
Okay, so thanks very much for that, guys. If you want to get the chance to win a copy of FIFA 16, there's a link in the description. If you go to our Facebook page, there's a chance to win one. And let us know your score prediction in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching.